Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Tiffany. Today I thought I would share my April TBR. I feel like kind of an unconventional TBR because there's a few books that I'm definitely planning to read, and then I have a whole bunch of library books that I would like to get to, but I may not get to them, and I'm just gonna kind of mood read them. So this is part TBR, part library book haul. So it's a little different. So I guess I will start with the books that I am definitely reading this month first. If you watched my book scavenger hunt video, I will link it in the description and then also up in the cards in case you didn't see it. You would know that the book that I found for that one is All Things Wise and Wonderful by James Herriot. This is his third book, so I'm really looking forward to reading this book. I feel like his books are absolutely perfect for spring. And I read the first two books last year, and I'm really looking forward to reading the third because they are just such so wonderful. I don't know, I'm an animal lover, and this has a lot about animals, has a lot about veterinary practice, has a lot about the English countryside, and it's just so wholesome and wonderful, and I could really use a book like that right now. So this is the first one on my list. The next book that I'll be reading is part of the Read Your Bookshelf Challenge, which Chantel at An Intentional Life is hosting. I will post that down in the description in case you haven't seen that. It's a really fun challenge. If you're like me, you're always getting library books and stuff and then not reading the actual books on your shelf, so it's kind of nice to give myself kind of a little kick in the pants to be reading more of that. So the prompt for April is a book that contains 5 or more words in the title. So for that one, I'm going with Book of 1,000 Days by Shannon Hale. I just bought this book, so I probably could have gone with an older one that I really should be reading, but I'm really excited to read this one. This is a fairy tale retelling of, I think the fairy tale name is Maid Maleen, which I actually don't know anything about, but I think it is a Grimm's fairy tale. So I love Shannon Hale, I love Princess Academy, and I love Goose Girl, so I'm really excited to read this one. The next book that I am for sure reading this month is an Agatha Christie book, and it's Murder in Mesopotamia. I am buddy reading this with Naomi from Naomi's Bookshelf and Berna from Berna's Bookish Adventures. So I'm pretty excited about that because it's like my first buddy read on book 2 with some like newer friends that I've made on here. So that's really exciting. I'm really happy to be doing my first buddy read, and it's with a Poirot novel, so I'm so excited to do it. The next book that I am definitely going to get to this month is actually a carryover from last month, and it's The Idiot by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I did start this book, but I didn't finish it, and it's from the library, so I need to finish it up. I was really trying to prioritize my middle grade March books, and then I kind of got carried away on a little tangent with Keeper of the Lost City books. So yeah, I did not finish this one. I think I'm only like 60 or 70 pages into it, so not very far at all. So I want to make more progress on this book. This book is on my list for my 2021 Classics TBR, so I really want to get to this one. And the last book that I feel like I have to read in April, for my birthday last year, posted a blog post with 32 birthday goals. I'll link that down below so you can read it if you'd like to. One of the goals was to read one spiritual book a month, so that way I'm not just reading fiction, but I'm reading something that is bettering myself and deepening my walk with the Lord. I've been reading really skinny ones so far this year because for the first 3 months of the year I was doing the Read the Bible in 90 Days plan, which was a lot of reading, and it was wonderful, and I'm really happy I did it, but it made it so I felt like I didn't have a whole lot of extra time to be reading like big, thicker spiritual books. It just felt really overwhelming. So this month, April, now I have completed that plan, so I have some more extra time now. So the book that I chose is The Cost of Discipleship by Dietrich Bonhoeffer. I have never read anything by him before, but I have heard absolutely wonderful things, and so I'm really looking forward to reading this book. Okay, so those 5 books are ones that I'm definitely reading this month. Those are the books that I'm going to be prioritizing. But I have a whole bunch of library books here that look wonderful and I really would like to read, but I know April is going to be a busier month for us. We are actually traveling to see some family and we've got some other things going on. So I don't know how many of these I'm going to get to in April, but I would love your feedback to tell me which ones you think I should prioritize, maybe ones that you have read and enjoyed or just that you think sound interesting. So the first one I have here is The Enchanted April by Elizabeth von Arnim. Admittedly, I only chose this book because April is in the title and I have been enjoying more seasonal reads lately. I mentioned that in my springtime recommendations videos, that I love reading books that just kind of give you, I don't know, like the feeling of the season, and that's a lot easier to do, I find, in the winter and the fall. Like, it's easier to find atmospheric books for that. So I've kind of been on the search for more springtime books. So The Enchanted April is one of those books. All that I know about it is that it's about like 4 women who travel somewhere. I don't know if they're friends or if they become friends once they arrive at their destination, but I don't know, was just kind of looking for some springy atmospheric reads. Also along the line of springy atmospheric reads, I have Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman. So this is, you know, poetry, and I think there's an essay in it as well. I'm not like huge into like just sitting down and reading poetry. In our homeschool, we actually read several poems every day before we start our school day. Like right now, the poet that we're reading is Christina Rossetti, and we're really enjoying that. I kind of doubt that if I do read this one that I will read it cover to cover. I may just kind of like flip through and read little bits here and there, but we'll see. Next I have like a mystery slash thriller, I guess. I think maybe that's Strangers on a Train by Patricia Highsmith. I think this was like made into a movie. It was published I think in like the 30s or 40s, so it is older, and I think it's about 2 strangers who meet on a train, and then I think it says they like exchange murders or something. I'm not sure. Anyway, it just sounded intriguing. Next up is Long May She Reign by Rhiannon Thomas. Oh my gosh, I can't talk today. And this was recommended by Elliot Brooks. And this is about a girl who, I guess she's like in line for the throne, but she's like way down. Like she's like 20th in line for the throne or something ridiculous like that. And everyone who is supposed to inherit the throne before her all dies, and there's like foul play. So not only is she trying to figure out how to run a kingdom that she thought she never would, but she's also trying to figure out what is going on. So I think this might also be fantasy, so I feel like it's fantasy and like mystery together, which is it feels like kind of a unique type of plot, so I'm looking forward to that one. The next book on this list is 84 Charing Cross Road, and this I have a friend, homeschool mom friend on Instagram that I talked to about this book, and she really enjoyed it. And it's one of those books that's like a book for book lovers, because I believe it's actually about like a bookstore in London. It is epistolary, which means that the entire novel is written in letters, and that is normally not my favorite kind of thing. In fact, earlier this year I tried to read the Guernsey Literary Potato Peel Society and like just was really having trouble getting into it with the letter format. So we'll see about this one. I don't know. When you hear a book and you hear it's like a book for book lovers, I immediately put it on like my Goodreads TBR and try to like request it as soon as possible, because I just love those kind of books. All the other books that I have are middle grade books, because even after middle grade March, I just can't get enough. So I will share a few of those with you. The first one is Everything Else in the Universe by Tracy Halsner, I think is how you say her last name. This book was recommended by Amanda over at the Curly Reader, and it's about, I think, like the aftermath of the Vietnam War, like that the main character, her father fought in the Vietnam War, and now he has come back and he's kind of dealing with the aftermath, how people are treating him, in addition to like, you know, having PTSD because you fought in a war. And just her dealing with that family dynamic and everything. And it just sounded like a really powerful, good book. So I am looking forward to checking this one out. The next book is Forever or a Long, Long Time. And this book is about foster care. So it's about two siblings who were, I think, adopted out of foster care and just dealing with their trauma and all the things that they have dealt with and all of that kind of stuff. This book was recommended by Chantel at An Intentional Life, and she is a foster parent, so I really appreciate her insight into stuff like that. And foster care is something that we have thought about and prayed about and might potentially want to do in the future, so it is something that is definitely moves our hearts, so I really wanted to read this book. The last two books are actually both sequels to books that I read for middle grade March prompts. So the first one is Palace of Mirrors, and this is the sequel to Just Ella, which is a fairy tale retelling of Cinderella. And I think this might follow a different character, someone named Cecilia, but Ella is still in this book. So I don't really know if it's as good as the first book, but Just Ella definitely kind of like left some loose ends hanging because it was a series. So I do want to read this one because I really enjoyed Just Ella. And the last book I have here is the second book of the Wollstonecraft Detective Agency, which I read the first book, which was The Case of the Missing Moonstone, and this one is The Case of the Girl in Grey. So the first one, well, actually both books are about Ada Lovelace and Mary Shelley as children. So, and they become friends and solve a mystery together. Ada Lovelace is a scientist and Mary Shelley is an author. So they just have different dynamics and things that they bring to the table as they're solving the mystery together. So it's super interesting. The first book seemed like it took a lot of elements from Wilkie Collins' The Moonstone, which I really enjoy Wilkie Collins mysteries. And then this is like The Case of the Girl in Grey, which is like The Lady in White, which is also a Wilkie Collins book, so I'm wondering if this will take elements from that book, and I really hope so, because I loved that element in the first book. So that is my April TBR. So 5 books that I'm reading for sure, and then like 9 library books to mood read or whatever. So I would love to hear your thoughts if there are any of those 9 library books that I held up that you have read and you have enjoyed and you would like me to read, or you just think sound interesting and you would like to hear my thoughts on them. And I would love to also hear if there's anything that you are really excited to read in April. If you watch this video, please hit like and also subscribe, and I will see you again next time.